black, 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 black star, black star, black star, black star, black star, black star, black star.
Black Star got this shit they all get down with.
Peace, peace, peace. This is your brother Rush, and this is the Black Star Kickback. Black Star Kickback is where we talk about every issue under the sun: health, relationships, goals, prepping, motivation, current events, lies, education, changing thought patterns, and changing paradigms. Today, we have the MOAB Association with the brother D. Miller. This is part 3 of the Blexit. If you been following along with the videos, this is also a tribute to the elder and the ancestor, Dr. Sebi.
This is D. Miller L., co-founder of the MOAB Association. We do have, as the brother said, a lot of the team with us today. I'm the co-founder, Brother Friel Bay. We also will be joined by another brother here shortly. We have Brother West also on the line. We have Brother Reich on the line as well. So yeah, we wanted to do a tribute to the great Dr. Sebi. We also want to, correlate that with the Blexit movement and the technology that is available for our people today. There's some, there's a lot that happened. We want to speak to it, unbiasedly without too much emotion, although I'm very passionate about the subject. So I hope that we as a team can provide some kind of insight and even some direction for that matter. So thank you very much, brother, for having us on. And like I said, I hope that the listening audience finds value in this podcast here.
Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. Let's just go right ahead into it. Could you brothers, one of the brothers, want to actually give the listeners a background on Dr. Sebi? Those of us that's into the history, have read some things, but maybe not know anything in depth. You want to give a full detailed description of the elder and his accomplishments, if you one of you brothers can?
No doubt. Yeah, definitely, we have to give thanks to the ancestor, Dr. Sebi, as he transitions over into the, other plane, the ethers. So, my experience with Dr. Sebi came from, out of, studying Phil Valentine and just, all the alternative holistic medicines. Also, Dr. Layla Africa, too, also hit me to Sebi. So the whole, paradigm of healing yourself and, plants being electrical food and, your body having electrical charge and that being the main tool to heal yourself. And then, all the other things he brought forth as well as about cancer and about AIDS, all those things were definitely, instrumental in helping me understand a lot more about any conditions I had or any conditions family members had or stuff like that. My parents actually passed by having pneumonia in the hospital too, so I think it's going to be a real interesting as we dig further into what really happened, because I have my whole speculation, but I want to, keep moving down the line with everybody else's information on Dr. Sebi as well.
Peace. This is Brother Reich.
All right.
So where I really got into the Dr. Sebi information was not more so on the holistic side of things, or at least for some of the treatments that he had out there. Where I really got into him at, I was dealing with the Moorish philosophy, and dealing with that, you would come across a lot of the sovereign citizen ideology and things of that nature. A lot of that stuff's been dispelled, but one of the things that the Moors really talked about a lot was court cases. So I know there was a court case with Dr. Sebi back in the 80s, I believe it was the late 80s, and he was on trial. He was supposedly, curing some people in the New York area of AIDS. and some other illnesses that they may have acquired. And from my understanding, Sebi was actually able to beat that case. I'm not sure of all the details on it, but that was something that most definitely had me looking at him in high regard. Anytime you get into the clutches of these people, sometimes it's very hard to get out of, especially when you're going against industry like medicine or medicinal. People like Pfizer, these other type of corporations, they have a lot of money, a lot of financial backing. So that's where I really got into Dr. Sebi at, and I was just most definitely impressed that he was actually able to defend himself by himself, and I just thought that was a beautiful thing. I yield the floor. Peace.
Peace. This is West Younger. You can hear me, guys?
Yes, sir.
We can hear you, brother. We can hear you.
Okay, peace. Yeah, basically, Dr. Sebi, to me, in my life and my family, he's definitely helped my family in a bunch of ways. We switched our diet up, talking to Dr. Sebi, aka Alfredo Bowman. He was born in 1933. I believe that he laid the blueprint and the groundwork for our new frame of consciousness when it pertains to the medical industry as a whole. I think he's not getting the credit that he deserves. I think the reason why most of these people out here have medical careers is because of Dr. Sebi and his new methodologies, or not new, but just basically keeping it fresh and keeping it organic. And I just want to say rest in peace to the brother. It's sad. I'm tired of marching and praying. I believe a lot of stuff, but I won't mention it on this platform. And with that, I yield the floor.
Appreciate that, brother. Brother. Matter of fact, D, you want to come after Cordell? Cordell, you have something to say about Dr. Sebi? Brother Cordell?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here. Really, I actually learned about Dr. Sebi about 3 years ago. So I looked into his case, saw how he won his case. Then I started actually researching a lot of his methods on diet. Watched some lectures, things like that. I actually, when I was vegan, actually applied a lot of his teachings into my diet. So yeah, I'm really big on the information, alkaline foods, things like that. But as an in-depth, I guess, I don't know too much about Dr. Sebi, but he has helped me out a lot when it came to, I guess, changing my life and my diet. So yeah.
All right, appreciate that, brother. Brother D, I see we joined by a 301 caller.
Yeah. So I think I came across Dr. Sebi maybe some 8 years ago, and it actually was around the time of the birth of my son. I actually, studied up on Dr. Sebi, everything that the brothers have said before me. I had come across that information as well. Was very inspired by the brother, and for my wife, I ended up purchasing a lot of products from Dr. Sebi to help her with, we'll say the prenatal care, as well as after the fact. There were a lot of different products that I was purchasing. I remember one in particular that my wife enjoyed the most, and it was the iron supplement that he provided. It gave her a lot of strength to actually, carry on. So I definitely, I want to extend honors to the brother Dr. Sebi. Definitely, feel like we lost a great, and I hope that everyone else has an opportunity, seeing as he is now gone, I do hope that his legacy lives on and that everyone else will be able to reap the same benefits that some of the other brothers as well as myself have been able to reap. With that, I yield the floor.
Thanks, brother. I was very moved when one of our brothers in the cipher posted that Dr. Sebi had become an ancestor. And I knew that my connecting to Dr. Sebi was a very particular and unique way that I feel very blessed and gifted to be able to have had. I was involved with a project that was trying to connect African diasporic communities in Central America with other people that recognize that we hear often about Cuba and we hear about Brazil, and we know the legacies here in the United States of Afro-descended people, but often we don't hear about the Garifuna in Belize or the Garifuna in Honduras or the Jamaicans in Costa Rica or the Jamaicans on Roatan, which is the island, Utila, the island off of Honduras where Sebi had his wellness center. And so we decided we were going to go overland to these communities. So we purchased a vehicle in Washington, D.C., a bus, and we converted it into a mobile home and had shower facilities in it and kitchen facilities and all our instruments and all of our art-making tools. And we drove this bus down the East Coast and through Texas and into Mexico and down into Veracruz, where the Tercera Raíz, as they call it, the third root of African culture, a place called Yanga that was liberated by Africans, Mexico, and the whole powerful culture in Veracruz. And we kept on going down through Villahermosa and Chetumal and entered into Belize and continued on into Guatemala and the other places where the Garifuna communities were, and eventually we ended up in Honduras. We ended up in La Ceiba, which is the major town next to Sambo Creek, where Dr. Sebi had his spiritual wellness center. And this is a space that, if you've ever seen the documentary done about Left Eye and her engagement with Sebi, it's a very beautiful, magical paradise place. There's mountains meeting the sea, and on these mountains you have rivers coming down. Some of the rivers are hot-fed springs that come down, and some of them are cold-fed springs. And this area was the place that Dr. Sebi decided to use this nature to be able to fight major diseases that he was encountering in the United States, and people who were so disconnected from the nature that bringing them to a spot like this would heal them. And so his spot had pools. These were like major pool baths, think of whirlpools, but in a natural setting. And he directed the waters off of these mountains. He had it down to a science, like it was like a faucet in the bathroom. He could control the hot water coming off the mountain, the cold water to produce certain temperatures based on how he wanted to heal and how he wanted to treat. And so meeting him in this context, knowing him in the context of this journey that we were doing, trying to bring back the different parts of the diaspora inside of ourselves, we were calling this man to come. And so when our bus got to Sambo Creek in Honduras, he heard about us coming into town, and so he came over to see who we were. And we were multi-tribe. It wasn't just Afro-descendants. We had all races there, from Mexicans and Filipinos, and we had all the races. And so he heard about us and the work we were doing with music and how we wanted to learn about traditions that were lost and the traditions that were being killed through modernism and being destroyed through capitalism and processed foods and all of these types of things. And so we met him, and he invited us to his spot, and we were transformed because we were seeking change ourselves, and we were seeking to transform and combine with others. And we had never really considered the nutrition aspect of our journey. We understood the power of culture and food. We understood that food was cultural and that food was a representation of things from different cultures, particularly African, amongst the Afro-descended peoples of Central America that have run bought there. But Sebi really honed us, got us into understanding the power of nutrition and Afrocentric thinking around nutrition. And this was just a reference point. This was in 1998 when we made this journey. We started in 1996, but it took us 2 years to get to Honduras because we had to pass through Belize, Guatemala, and Mexico, and we were playing in Afro-Caribbean festivals, and we were doing workshops, and we were the first to start to teach Capoeira Angola to many communities in these areas, and also learn many of these different traditions that were still there. So by the time we got to Dr. Sebi, we were already understanding how important this journey was and who we had to meet. But as I mentioned, the nutrition aspect wasn't in our thinking, and he transformed us. He dared us. He challenged us. He put a crown above our heads to be able to rise up to that crown and really meet the health and wellness part of our journey to really bring back some things that we had lost in modernism and capitalism in our society. And he challenged us first on what are you eating, and is it real? And we had never thought about whether something was a real food or not. And he taught us that, that the majority of the foods that you eat are not real. They were made in labs, and then they were developed, and then they were processed and domesticated. And so he had us going out into the rainforest and looking for things that directly came from trees or plants. Then we did about a 2-month fast where the only things that we were allowed to eat were things that were directly from the nature. And needless to say, we all lost a lot of weight, and our bodies went through a powerful transformation. And but we did the fast, and I was mentioning earlier that Dr. Sebi had a practice that was very he was very hard on us. He was a taskmaster on us on these things. And I think on the inside we really wanted that, even though sometimes we wouldn't accept it, or we would push back or resist it because of our colonial mentalities and residues of things that we had in our brains. But he pushed us, and those things that he left inside of us, we all still hold today. And when I saw my brother Wesley's post about Sebi, my first thing to do was to share that to other people who were on this journey, which was called Destiny 2000. We're on that journey. I posted to them that this great man had passed away. And eventually we left Honduras and continued down into Nicaragua and the Afro-descended areas of Bluefields and all on the coast there where Afro-descended people are, Nicaragua, and continued on into Costa Rica, which many people may know was a major site of the UNIA, and Marcus Garvey's son still has an office and center there in Costa Rica and on the Caribbean side, and then we finished our journey in Panama. So this 4-year journey that we took, Sebi was like in the center of it. He was the centerpiece of it. He was no doubt the most powerful teacher and healer that we met on our 4-year journey when we were trying to disconnect, and we were trying to heal, and we were trying to search for a new way of living and a new way of understanding ourselves. I can say without a doubt, without hesitancy, that Dr. Sebi was the embodiment of the principles that we were seeking as young people, most of us in our 20s, in trying to reestablish and ground ourselves. So I like best the post that I've seen on Facebook that says that Sebi was preparing us for this moment, preparing us for his passing.
And I only learned about his work in the United States after I finished this journey overland for 4 years. So we're talking about the year 2001. I think I made my way back up to the United States and started to see the effect that he had in Atlanta and in LA and in Harlem and in DC and in our communities of consciousness. And so very powerful, very humbling this weekend was. And I came on the call a little late because I was at a meeting, but I know that part of the reason for this call was to talk about the lack of understanding of how he passed away, the great disrespect that he had to pass through on this last part of his journey. But I also did see posts saying that Sebi was always free, and that is the truth. He was always free. He was so free inside of his concept of self that he would challenge anyone, anywhere. I mean, who else would be able to stand up strong and say, I have a cure for AIDS in a time when he knew he would be attacked, and then be called a quack for things like that. That's a testament to his freedom. There's some attributes in terms of his personal history that he told us about how he got to Honduras and his personal biography that I can't really speak to now. It's been a little time since I remember those things, but I know that his journey as a human being, he was being prepared all the time for this. And so I am 100% carrying on that same mission that Sebi was preparing us for this moment, and everything he passed on and the way he lived lives in all of us who are able to hold him in our consciousness.
All right. I'm gonna open the panel up for everybody if they also wanna pose a question, have something else to add about the doctor.
This is Noel. I want to pose a question or make a statement, or even we'll say transition into some additional subject matter if no one else has any additional questions about
that's cool. Go ahead.
Work, etc.
Excuse me. This Rich. I just want to say before you transition, I think that it's very important that you be brutally honest. And that's it.
Okay, I hear you. So, where I want to kind of go with this is, I know it's very early, and I know that we don't want to try to take away from the legacy or from the tribute that we are trying to provide right now with regards to Dr. Sebi. But I do think that there's something that we must discuss. And, it was already touched on. The idea of the corruption within the various systems here in this hemisphere. This is a touchy subject, and I also think that most of our people don't have much to say with regards to this. So what I want to focus on at this point is one, the action of Dr. Sebi, and two, the actions of the government there in Honduras. So as Wes just made very clear, when you're traveling around and you have money, there's a limitation. There is a regulation that governs the movement, especially with regards to the U.S. dollar. There are regulations that govern it. And in this particular case, as was stated, the maximum amount that you are allowed to kind of carry with you, I believe, without claiming it, is $10,000. And, there may be more to that regulation than what I've just said. So I recommend that everybody look into that. If you've never heard of these particular regulations, I highly recommend that you look into that. Because we don't want the same situation to happen to any more of our people. That's the first thing. So Let's actually discuss this a little bit. Like I said, this is related to the Blexit, in my opinion. I think that we have to discuss this. We have to discuss the idea of coming to America, building up finance, and then maybe even, relocating or trying to take your money out of that particular economy and putting it into an economy for your people. It does appear that not only was Dr. Sebi, moving finance for his personal self, but I think it goes without saying that much of that finance was for Usha Village. If anybody has any comments that they want to make on that, I definitely want to kind of guide the conversation in that direction, because I think that we have to address this, and I think that there are options available that many of our people are not familiar with. I think there was a way for Dr. Sebi to move his finance without coming in conflict with the corrupt government there, the corrupt police force there in Honduras. So I want to put that out there first. If anybody has a comment, please make that, and then I think we can continue to move forward.
Can I just jump in and just quote something real quick, man? I think this discussion ultimately is a discussion of technology, ultimately, and whether you're talking about holistic healing, it's all technology and how you utilize it. And I don't think that in any way what the objective is to disrespect Dr. Sebi and his passing on to the ancestor realm. But I do feel as though it's not just in regards to the monies. If you look around, even passports, they're trying to digitally manufacture those at this particular point in time. So I just think that ultimately it's the way that the world is moving, and those who utilize the technology is oftentimes instituted to make something easier for you to do. And I think that if this particular brother, Dr. Sebi, if he was utilizing this form of technology, most definitely might have been a lot easier for him. But go ahead, Mel L, go ahead and do what you gotta do.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That's a little alley-oop there. So, my focus, family, is what caused the apprehension, what caused the arrest of Dr. Sebi. And it boils down to
That was
the regulations.
he had too much money on him.
That's right. It boils down to the regulations governing the transport of money, U.S. dollars to be specific. So the Blexit is about us trading in the dollar for the Bitcoin. We've recommended that our people do this bit by bit. Please pay your bills, right? And then with the extra finance, as opposed to you buying Jordans and going out to eat at Chili's and, all of these extra things, these material things that you're spending your money on, we recommend that our people make a financial exit. This is what the Blexit is. It's a black economic exit. We see this happening, actually, with the diaspora throughout the Americas. There are many corrupt governments throughout the Americas. And many of the people throughout the Americas are relying on Bitcoin as a store of value. In this particular case, however, we are recommending that if our people knew how to secure their value via the Bitcoin, I don't think that Dr. Sebi would have been arrested. My heart goes out to his family right now, and it's because what I'm thinking about is that it could have been a lot easier. It could have been a situation where I'm not here to say that Bitcoin was going to, quote unquote, save Dr. Sebi's life. That's not what it is that I'm saying, and I would never disrespect his family or him by making such a statement. However, what I do want to say is that we are making things harder than what they are, and they could be easier if we are willing to not allow for the technology to take over, but if we allow for the technology to help us. And as Wright just said, whether we're dealing in the natural world or whether we're dealing in the digital and the virtual world, technology is still the same in its application, or at least in its purpose. It's meant to make things easier. So in this case, I'll just kind of lay it out, and Free, I'll pass the mic to you. You can fill in any gaps. In my estimation, had this Bitcoin conversation and this Blexit movement, had this been proliferated a lot more in our community, I think that we would not have heard about this. I don't think that that particular struggle would have been a part of his last, month here or however long he was in police custody. I don't think that that would have been the finale. I don't think that that would have been a part of the story had we employed the Bitcoin and the blockchain technology. In fact, I'm going to go a step further real fast. So it is my understanding, as the elder Wesley stated earlier, that Dr. Sebi was well known. One, as a personality, he was well known. Two, he was well known to have large amounts of currency. If the locals know, the police know. If the police know, then the government knows. And then last but not least, from what I understand, the USA village is located on a beautiful patch of land there in Honduras. I'm sure it's extremely valuable. I'm sure, right? I'm sure if any of us were to lay eyes on it, I'm sure that we would love to be there, maybe even, become an owner, part owner, something of that nature. So it only makes sense that, they would be interested in not only taking and seizing the finance, but also seizing the property. This tends to happen with our people because we tend to differ with the status quo as far as politics are concerned. All of us, whether you know it or not, in the quote-unquote conscious community, are a part of the fringe politics. So when you are on the fringe with regards to politics, you tend to make yourself somewhat of a target. So in this case, when you are a target because of your political fringe, your association with the political fringe, he was a member of the NOI, if I'm not mistaken, prior to him going out onto his own and doing this particular work. He was a member of the NOI. And that within itself does relate to the fringe politics that I'm referencing right now. So when you have the fringe politics and when you have finance, you have to be understanding that it is your job and your obligation to secure it. You have to be able to secure it. So one final thing, Free, bear with me. One final thing I wanted to say about Honduras and the land, the deeds, the property ownership, etc. It is my understanding that Honduras is so far behind with regards to digitization that if you actually went into the government facilities where they are holding the land titles and the registries for who owns what, that it is very easy to forge documents, to create false ownership over property. There have actually been officials who have gone, taken deeds, basically deeded to themselves property on the beach that they did not pay for, that probably belongs to someone else. So we actually see a Bitcoin company out of Austin, Texas, that has been working with Honduras to bring them up to a certain level. Again, they're wanting to use the blockchain technology as a registry for land ownership. This is how you can keep the fraud to a minimum, right? The fraudulent activities of the government there, of the police there, a lot of this is happening because they don't have the type of documenting that we have here in America. For example, we all see the police with their cameras in the cars, on their vest, or whatever the case may be. We have a lot of that here, right? We have a lot of that here. They don't necessarily have a lot of that there. So a lot of things are happening and it's outside of the people's control. Free, what do you have?
All right, man. Man, honors to everybody who's been spitting knowledge and hitting us with a lot of enlightening information. Yeah, like you said, Bitcoin isn't the savior of the world. However, we can use it as a tool to help save ourselves. And like you said, in preventative measures of dealing with regulations and dealing with fraud and corruption, the blockchain technology is the answer to that in a nutshell. You know what I mean? It's not the end-all, be-all. A lot of things need to still be worked out about it. The education of the public at large still needs to happen, because only a few people knowing about the blockchain and how the blockchain actually works still make the technology end up in a centralized fashion. And since we want to work off a decentralized model, everyone needs to really understand what the blockchain really is. So the blockchain is a database, and this database is unable to be changed or altered by outside parties. And if it is changed or altered by some outside party, everyone still has to agree that that change or alteration is the way that they want to go. And if they don't agree with that, then they just move along, and then they start, with a different blockchain. So that, in a nutshell, tells us that we all need to be in control of our governmental structure, right? So a decentralized, autonomous organization would create the standard of, we have our own nation, and we are able to back that with the blockchain. We have real estate, we're able to back that with the blockchain. We have currency, we're able to back that with the blockchain. So starting today, in your daily life, put $5 on some Bitcoin, put $10 on some Bitcoin, put away a little bit at a time, and end up hopefully with $100. And once you have $100 in Bitcoin, you'll start seeing the profits really starting to make themselves off of just the fluctuation of the Bitcoin price in itself. But that being aside, us controlling that amount of Bitcoin will give us economic leverage to now say we can make demands as a nation. This is something we have not tried before. We have not tried to make demands as a nation while being economically backed properly. So with that, I yield the floor.
But you guys go over the blockchain is again for the viewers out there, again for the new viewers that probably just catching this show and then probably catch this first two. Could you explain the blockchain to them again, please?
Okay. So the blockchain, as Free just said, is essentially a database. It is a database that can be used in many different ways. And what we are talking about specifically is value. So we're talking about money. We are also talking about property. And what we've demonstrated is that the blockchain can be utilized in both areas. So what we are recommending is that our people become much more familiar with it. Again, it is a computer database. It has a lot of features that currently do not exist in the databases that we have available now. And there are some similarities with the databases that are out there now. So again, the blockchain is a database. It is the technology behind Bitcoin, which is the money. And that same blockchain can be utilized for any kind of value, as well as value exchange. So it's not just a registry to document who owns what. It is also a means for us to actually trade that value peer-to-peer without the middleman, whether that be the government, whether that be the bank. We are able to exchange with one another, and again, that is a value that we are exchanging without the middleman.
And I think it's also important to add, that's an excellent, representation of what it is, but it really makes you rethink money. And that's something, that's an assumption that we don't question these days, or the majority of us don't question. So if you ask what is blockchain, how do you explain blockchain, there'll be a lot of different explanations, but everybody who's here has to go on their own journey, their own exploration inside of themselves to understand what their own personal value is. How do you create your own wealth? What is your wealth? In the case we're talking about Dr. Sebi, we're talking about somebody who encouraged understanding your health. I've heard people say your health is your wealth. So the blockchain is really trying to get you to think about that value as well.
so that you can be empowered and not just used by money, because money is a tool. And I know my own personal investigation is to understand what the blockchain is and how it has the potential, and eventually will. I mean, like Free said, it, you can pass on now if you want to, but it's like the internet. It's gonna come. So as you start investigating the blockchain technology, you're gonna find your own access point. And I think D has found his own access point. Free has, I found mine, and then we come into collectives like this, and then we start to teach each other. So it really does strengthen this ideas around decentralized, autonomous organization strength, and is really creating the future in terms of relations around money and value.
That's right. I wanted to say this. We've been hearing a lot, especially with all of the police violence, especially in the conscious community. I've been hearing a lot of brothers talking about how, we have been weak, that we have not been playing our role as men, right? Male and female. As males, as men, we have not been playing our roles. We have not been securing our families. We have not been securing ourselves, I should start with, and we have not been securing our wealth. Generationally, we have watched our people slip deeper and deeper and deeper into the hole of debt, losing more and more and more of our autonomy, our ability to be independent, to be self-determined. And what we are trying to present with the Blexit is a means to reverse that, to gain more and more independence, to have more and more autonomy and self-determination with regards to our values, with regards to our wealth. So please, listening audience, understand that this is what this part of this conversation is about. What if Dr. Sebi was utilizing Bitcoin to transport his finance? Well, I can tell you right now, he definitely would not have had, a book size worth of U.S. fiat currency in his possession, which of course led to the arrest.
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about that. If he had found a way to transfer that value through blockchain technology, yeah, he would have been less of a target, as you said. There's no doubt about that. That's an excellent point.
Absolutely. And then furthermore, the idea of supporting the technology, the development of the technology. Again, I did make it clear, there is a company from Austin, Texas that is working with the Honduras government to bring them up to a certain level with regards to documenting and having a registry of who owns what. When you have a situation where, the corruption is rampant as it is down there, you need technologies of this nature to keep the fraud at bay. Whether that's confiscating someone's fiat currency for no other reason than some kind of bureaucratic, nonsense, some red tape about how much money you can move from here to there, or whether we're literally talking about someone that wants to seize your physical property, your land, not fiat, but land, and them just being able to kind of, find the documents, forge the documents, and then now they're the new owner and you are not. So we are definitely recommending that our people support the development of this technology and even become developers themselves.
That's a good point. You said developer. I think I have posed that question in the group as far as is there a possible way for us to also create our own altcoin?
So there absolutely is. However, there is a prerequisite to having a coin, and that is that of a network. So everything that has been said before, especially from Brother West the Elder, the diaspora, the idea of unifying the diaspora is actually a prerequisite. You can make a coin, but if you do not have the network effect, which represents us as the diaspora, if you don't have that, then the coin is actually, of no value. So the idea is, one, let us first begin to unify along the lines of utilizing the technology. As I said before, the Blexit concept is about our people not going to the extreme, but moving bit by bit. I'm the type of person where, for me, it's not about the sprint, it's about the marathon. And if you're going to run the marathon, you're going to want to pace yourself. So the idea is for us to develop a pace. We've actually recommended that by November, which is the election month for the new president, whether that's going to be Hillary or Trump, we actually are recommending that the diaspora of the Americas have in possession, if possible, $100 worth of Bitcoin. In some countries, that's not going to be feasible. That actually probably represents a whole month of income for certain countries in the Americas. However, this is a way for us to begin to fund the projects, the businesses, the programs that we need locally. We should begin to utilize technology in a positive manner. I've heard about various revolutions happening, and those being facilitated by the internet, whether it be Twitter, whether it be Facebook, whether it's in Syria, whether it's in Egypt. We have seen this work. We have seen that the internet can facilitate change. So we are coming in that direction. We are coming in that vein. We would have this change be facilitated by the technology. It would be a lot easier for us to be able to do so.
Right. And they can start that off by going to Coinbase or many other wallets. Could you name some wallets also for the family out there? Or matter of fact, no, they can go to the MOABITASSOCIATION.com, right, to get in touch with you all. And you all basically can contact, build with the family as far as ways to start that off. Or they also can just go straight directly to Coinbase and other wallets and add on their card, $10, like you say, maybe $10 at a time, $20 here, and get up to that $100 by November the 1st, and we can actually see, like you say, some growth. As far as, like I say, I wanted to, make sure I keep it on the security and the different types of wallets, as far as the cold wallet, the hot wallet, the paper wallet. Could you, go into that as far as informing the viewers as far as different wallets that they can use, as far as also in, some that maybe be out there that's very not secured instead of, maybe the most famous ones. It's just some other ones out there that may be a little bit more secure, but maybe just be a little watch-eyeful about.
Absolutely. I'm going to let everyone else speak first, and I'll go last. So you brothers definitely have at it, and I will come in to fill in the gap. Free, go ahead.
Yeah, brothers.
Yes, sir. I'm not sure if you can hear me, but I definitely hear you. Free, if you want, go in on the wallet, please.
Oh, okay. So we have few different variations of Bitcoin wallet that you can have. The most secure wallet is keeping it in cold storage, and what we mean by cold storage is keeping it offline so it can't be vulnerable to attack. So that's keeping it on an external hard drive or keeping it on a paper wallet. All these different types of methods allow you to store away your Bitcoin without it being online. And that is very important when we're thinking about security. The other wallets that are online that are a little more secure is blockchain.info. And like you guys already said, Coinbase, of course. And then a few other ones. Like I said, those are the two main ones I think are the most secure right now. A few other ones are up and coming. And make sure you do your research and do your due diligence before you put your Bitcoin on any wallet that stays online, because like I said, with a hot wallet is the term for online wallet. With that being said, don't keep too much money on a hot wallet. Always vault it away if you're going to keep large amounts of Bitcoin.
And just to chime in on that, that's a beautiful point that you make. And, you know, with the Bitcoin, you're also seeing a side-by-side movement right now. You have the black banking, which ultimately is going to be adverse to a Blexit, because there's no way to really escape, you know, any kind of FDIC laws or any banking laws that these black banks may have. But they do have a purpose, and we can still receive a service from them. So when you have your cold storage, as the brother Free said, you're more than welcome to put that on a hard drive. But I would recommend to spread that across multiple hard drives, because any hard drive can crash or not come back on. You have a lot of horror stories of that. When, you know, the Bitcoin really started taking off, people had them on hard drives, unable to find them, unable to access it. But with those black banks, get you a really nice hard drive stored on there, and you can use the safety deposit box at any one of those banks if you still want to support those black businesses. I yield the floor.
Yeah, that was perfect. I wanted to talk about the black banking situation too. So Bitcoin is also, having a Bitcoin wallet is also having a bank in itself, because you're able to check a ledger. You're also able to make, you know, certain submissions to a ledger using Bitcoin as the currency to drive whatever, you know, ledger entry you just were to make, right? So with that being said, we have a banking situation right here where we're also able to start our own individual bank. So to make the black bank thing happen even on a more expansive, you know, tip, we have a decentralized method, you know what I mean? And it will be outside of the FDIC compliances and all that other stuff like that. And it could even be Sharia compliant for those who like, you know, Sharia compliant banking, where there's no usury and no fractional reserve banking. So these times are very interesting technology.
Yes, I'm still here. The only thing I would want to say is that I really want to commend you all for linking this topic of Dr. Sebi's murder. If I'm speaking brutally honest, you know, this was definitely a targeted attack. And linking this issue to the liberation, the potential liberation we find through these cryptocurrencies. I see the link very clearly, and I hope more of us see the link, because if we build in the power that we can all have in this bank in a pocket that the blockchain is, then it's only to our benefit of our communities and our peoples. Racial inequity permeates all aspects of society, and sometimes it manifests itself in places that you would least expect it. I was a keynote speaker this weekend at a conference of people who are advocating for black babies to be breastfed, or what they call first food. And just like Dr. Sebi, it's a nutrition thing. And the statistics show that, I learned at this conference, that black babies are the lowest on the scale to receive the nutrition directly from the breast in their first days, in their first months. And even if they do receive that, they're the quickest to go into formula and go into these artificial processed foods that Dr. Sebi is teaching are still harmful, cause mucus, cause cancers, cause us to be sick. So even as we talk about blockchain technology, talk about having wallets, if you're not healthy, you can't transfer any money through any cryptocurrency. You're not going to have the power, or you're not going to have the energy or drive to do any of these things that we're talking about. So the link that we're forming today through honoring Dr. Sebi and thinking about our own nutrition, our own community, our community health, and our wealth, I think is cutting edge, and I think it's, you know, you all should be commended for doing this, and I think we should continue to try to expand this platform on how blockchain technology connects to all aspects of our being as African peoples. And when you know you always have my support and my voice in any way I can.
Appreciate that, brother. Brother D?
All right. Yes, sir, I got you. Okay, so this is in the spirit of the Blexit. Some are beginners, some have not heard of this before, and I think that we've done a good job to speak to those. Some are a little more advanced. They've heard of this technology throughout the diaspora. Like I said, we in America, we have access to banking. The U.S. dollar is very potent, so this may not have hit your radar. However, what the wallets that I'm going to recommend are blockchain.info. Go to that website, blockchain, 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 one word, .info. You can get a very secure wallet there. I'm also going to recommend that the people start to look into the Copay wallet. It is similar in terms of security. A Copay wallet will allow for us to form groups, or I should say escrow accounts that require multiple signatures to move or transfer value. This will be good for businesses. This will be good for various kinds of organizations. Again, this is more intermediate to expert level information. But I think some of the listening audience is going to find value in this too. Those are the two wallets. Blockchain.info, Copay. With these wallets, again, a lot of security. However, we do need to go one step further. Those are both considered hot wallets, ladies and gentlemen. So what that means is that I would highly recommend you take the advice of the brothers that have already spoken before me. You're not going to want to have 100% finance in a hot wallet. The reason for that is you as an individual can be subject to attack. I do believe that the decentralized model is going to be the best model for security. However, as an individual, and I should say this, as a group, we are protected with the decentralized model. We don't have a central point of failure. But you yourself can become a central point of failure if you're not following the instruction right now. So I highly recommend that you go to bit.address, bit.address, one word, .org. From this website, you are able to generate these cold storage wallets that we've been talking about. Wallets that can be generated without a connection to the internet. So that means when you first put the wallet together, that is not happening on the internet. When you create the passcode that is associated with it, or at least when you receive the private key, and more information will be available in the description below. I know the brother's going to be uploading this, so please look there and research some of this information that I'm providing. You're going to want to go there and you're going to want to create those cold storage wallets. This is very important. Again, this is where you are going to send some of your Bitcoin, a majority of your Bitcoin for that matter, so that it is not online and able to be hacked, right? This is the key. So please keep those three names in mind: bit address, Copay, blockchain.info. Please keep those in mind. Please search those on the internet and do your due diligence. This is a major aspect of the Blexit. I'll paint a little picture real fast, and then, brother, we can go wherever you like to go with this, the rest of this interview. So, let us say that come November the 1st, we have 1 million people in the diaspora, and there are tens of millions of us here. Let's say 1 million has $100 worth of Bitcoin in a secure wallet. And we're utilizing the internet, of course. Just imagine what kind of proposals, what kind of programs, what kind of business that we could fund outside of the current, traditional system of doing such. I think that this is very important that we consider this. I think it's very important that if you want to begin to build a business in that world, in that system, I highly recommend that, again, you do your research into this copay wallet. It does make sense that you are able to collect money on the internet outside of the current structure. Being on the internet means you have access to the entire globe. We do not mean to isolate anyone. In fact, we are wanting to unify everyone. And not only that, this technology at its core is a consensus ledger. So we are looking for reconciliation. We want to resolve the conflict. But we do believe that for us to be able to do that, we have to be able to be independent. We have to be able to determine our own destiny, right? I do not think that we are going to be able to come together socially if we don't have proper leverage. If we are always going into negotiations on our knees, if we are always going into negotiations pleading, if we always go into negotiations with no footing at the end of the day, we are going to find ourselves in this situation where we continue to do the same kinds of what I refer to as insane behavior. It's insanity that we have not tried to genuinely, or I take that back, we have not fixed it. I think that can be said without me having to go back on that. We haven't fixed the problem. We are proposing a means to fix the problem so that we can move forward. With that being said, I yield the mic.
And with these, could you give examples of how, about, or what is the plan in the works as far as when this does happen, how can people that have programs and organizations, who will they go to and how do they apply to get the assistance from the all of us that end up, going towards Bitcoin with $100?
I think the first people that should be involved are those that have projects, businesses, programs in mind. It makes the most sense for you to even propagate this message, right? So if I was someone who wanted to participate, it makes sense for me to not only have my $100 worth of Bitcoin, but to encourage others to do the same, to even help them with that process. It absolutely benefits the whole for you to begin to participate even in that fashion. So consider it like a campaign. This is why we've connected it with the month of November, which is the election month here in America and the United States. We have elections coming up, and elections are all about you voting, right? All about you participating in society, right? So what we are attempting to do is to use that same date as a springboard for our people to become productive members of our own society. I think the first thing that is required is that we have an infrastructure, which is this financial system, right? The Bitcoin, the blockchain. It exists outside of the current. Now, on a practical level, we've always been communicating to each other in the same way. We utilize platforms like Google, i.e. the YouTube, right? We use platforms like Facebook. We use platforms like Twitter. I highly recommend that we propagate our proposals, our programs, our businesses on the exact same medium, and even use the medium for not only to get the message out for you to create the propaganda and for you to propagate that message, but for people to be able to help fund your projects in the same manner. With Bitcoin, again, the value is digital. All that is required is a QR code, that little square code that you see on just about every item that's out there. You have a code like that. It is a representation of your alphanumeric address. Family, do not get confused. It's like having an email address. Okay, imagine your email address having a QR code that was associated. Okay? So the idea is that you make your receive address available for people to be able to send money, any amount of money. And at that point, we already know that what we've been doing is pushing this idea that our people have this money. What we are attempting to do is not only finance our own objectives, but for our people to actually do the financing. It is just like any other government. Essentially, a government finances its proposals and its bills via crowdfund or taxes, right, if you will. Taxes or a crowdfund is how a government funds its endeavors, right? So we are attempting to do the same thing here. We're not trying to change how anyone is doing anything. We don't want to try to reinvent the wheel. We already are communicating with each other on the internet utilizing the various social media networks. We should continue to do the same. We should, again, propagate our messages. Again, some of these ideas, I think, will be effective locally. Some of them will be effective even globally, right? So I don't want to pigeonhole anyone into saying you have to have a global idea or you have to have a local idea. I think that both have their place, and we will fund them in the exact same ways that we have been communicating. But I think the messages will change as opposed to us just propagating information. I think that our people will begin to communicate about, again, some of these brilliant ideas that I know that they have that will solve our problem.
Most definitely. We do need some more inventors out there. I don't know, 5 of them from last week. We don't see any of our inventors getting the funds that they needed. There's plenty of people out there that's doing things in their garage, plenty of businesses, youth programs, social development programs. A lot of people, us, actually do need funds to get to where we need to get to, and we know we're not going to get them, or we shouldn't be begging. We should just go ahead and raise it up ourselves. So with that being said, the panel is open. Do any other brothers have any thing to add to what Brother D. Miller just said?
I'll take a swing at it. So the first thing I'd like to say is that this is not a get-rich-quick scheme, right? The other thing that I want to say is that there's a reason why we recommend that our people go bit by bit and not be extreme. Bitcoin is volatile. It has been less volatile as of recent. And I mean, like, as far as years are concerned, Bitcoin is 7 years old. It's been extremely volatile throughout those 7 years, but we've had some degree of stability in the last year or so, year and a half. So I want to put that out there. The point here is that one Bitcoin is always going to be the equivalent of one Bitcoin. But once you start to try to equate it to dollars, to euros, to yen, etc., that's when you start to see a so-called fluctuation in the value of a Bitcoin. All right? Now, that may be a little mind-altering to some, but please consider what is being said to you. Do not go into Bitcoin trying to get rich quick. Go into Bitcoin thinking, I am doing this for the sake of my posterity. That means your children. And that's what I have to say on that.
Most definitely, brother. Do you have any other suggestions as far as people that's going into Bitcoin? I think I did ask on the last show as far as people that was getting involved as far as day traders, and also to add on to that, this is, like the brother said, not a get rich get a scheme or anything. At the same time, you can earn a living, trading online as far as versus different altcoins and things of that nature. Are any of you brothers familiar with day trading?
Yeah. Everybody else roll out? No. I always have my trading window open.
Okay. That's probably what you were doing.
Could you give a little information to the family or to the viewers out there about getting involved into day trading with Bitcoin or altcoin?
Well, okay, so if you're not familiar with trading in the first place, it's you can think of it like stocks. So most people understand what stocks are, and 401ks and everything like that, right? So it's sort of similar to that, you know. If you're going to put aside something for your 401k and you want to see it, you know, accrue, or you want to put aside, you know, some type of investment, you know, and you want to see it, you know, raise in value, you know what I mean? So you have to be conscious of the Bitcoin price, right? If you're going to say you're going to make a living from it, or you're just trying to see an increase on your investment, right? So you have to be conscious of the price. Something that people need to do constantly, like you check the time, you check the price. So that is my advice, to just be aware and be vigilant. You know what I mean? That way you can, if the price is going down and you bought in higher, you need to hurry up and sell off what you need to sell off. But that's not with your whole savings of your Bitcoin or what you're trying to keep just as security purposes. That should be in your cold storage, and you shouldn't be moving that around anyway. Whatever you're trading with should be no more than you're willing to lose. You know what I mean? So that's my advice on trading.
Yeah,
I don't think he was going.
I'll make a comment about the day trading.
Oh, okay.
I think that there's a unique opportunity in terms of trading cryptocurrencies that wasn't available for day trading in regular stock markets or penny stocks or those types of things. And that is today, because of the increased rate of communication and its free nature and the transparency that you have today, you can learn about all of these things on a variety of sites. You can peruse, you can, search around, you can watch YouTube videos, you can watch these things and get it, and, really get a familiarity. And then, there's also these platforms that they're selling which allow you to, trade these things. Think about your coinage and other sites like that. And today, they're just putting the knowledge out there on, on what they're doing. Or I know that I haven't been too much on Twitter, but I started a Twitter account because a lot of these day traders are getting on Twitter just telling you what they're doing, saying, remember I told you about this? Look, the Dogecoin is doing this. And they're just putting it out there. So I think we're in a different age, to be able to enter in. And then the other side of my comment about day trading, getting involved in that, I think at a certain point when you, as Dee was talking about, you have to be very careful about getting involved in these things because there is liability, there is risk always. But once you are able to be comfortable, to be able to try to invest in some of these things, I would say the best thing to do is just try, dude. Like Free was saying, do the due diligence and just try, set these things up. I know I've done that. I set up, some wallets and tried to get into Ether, and then I got busy with my speaking schedules and my tours and things I'm doing my other work, and I wasn't able to go back and do it. I didn't have a chance to go back and look at other things. So I need to go back and see how am I going to pull out, whatever was in the Dow tokens or whatever's in the Ether tokens and what's left in Bitcoin. So, it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of monitoring, but you can set yourself up. So I think my advice as somebody who is a coach and a consultant and somebody who deals with innovation in organizations, one of the things we always tell people is try, like build the machine, let the machine teach you. And the tools are there because you have a modem and you have access to a lot of the world's knowledge. And then if you take that approach to those two different pieces of advice, then you will end up contributing towards the creation of what it means to really trade cryptocurrencies. I know personally myself, I don't, you were talking about, it's not about getting rich. I tend to lean on the ideological side of things with Bitcoin. I believe, once again, the decentralized, autonomous, power of the people type aspects of this technology is what I'm more interested in. But even though I'm more interested in that, I also created wallets. I've created a soft wallet. I've created a hard wallet. I traded things just so I get familiar to know how difficult it actually is, how easy it is. I'm not going to advocate something to other people if I don't try it myself and know how viable it is. And I know from experience since I'm med at MIT, that there are some things that are kind of difficult, and they do require time and patience. I've gone to him, asked him to do how to do things, and he's given me advice on how fast, simple things on how fast is this going to take to download, how much free space do I need in my computer to be able to download this, to be able to transfer these coins and do these things. So I think you got to really get your, you got to jump in the water and get your feet wet and try these things out, because a lot of it, you can get advice from other people, but it's just, you can only really learn that from trying and getting in it. It's my 2 cents. No pun intended.
Appreciate that, brother. What we're going to do is we're going to probably end off the show. Starting from Brother Free, you want to give out any other panels that you're a part of, or your Facebook that people can get in contact with you if they want to ask you questions. Also, your group, and along with D-Miller and also the Brother Walker, if you can.
Alright, the Facebook group is the MOAB Associate or MBA Circle of Peers on Facebook. So just look up MBA Circle of Peers, and you should be into our Facebook group. We'll approve you, and you'll see a lot of different information there. People will ask if, is there a book we can refer them to about Bitcoin? Well, we'll say that all the posts in the group will lead you through so much information, it'll look like an encyclopedia. So there's the Facebook group, and then we also do music too. We have Decentralized Minds, which is a decentralized hybrid record label. So be on the lookout for Decentralized Minds. You can like that page on Facebook as well. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for having us on the show, and thanks to all the brothers who shared their information, and definitely, we gotta send our condolences out to the family of Dr. Sebi, and in the spirit of everything he's done, man, let's take his work to the next level. Let's not let his healing work, go to the wayside. We need to really promote it hard. We need to live it in our lives every day. So, with that being said, peace.
Peace. The next brother would like to go ahead and plug any events that he working on, or the programs that he working on, or the Facebook group or a page, so the viewers can check you out as well, brother.
Yeah, that's the brother Reich. I got a YouTube page that's gonna be coming up soon, talking about some DIY stuff or some do-it-yourself stuff. It's more than, the Bitcoin is amazing, but a lot of people need to realize it's a lifestyle as well, a do-for-self attitude that goes along with it. So, I'll most definitely be having some content coming via that page on YouTube. It'll be Righteous Name Plan, and that's spelled RIGCHIS_ain't_playing. And, I have some content coming there soon. I think it was a powerful bill. Most definitely want to wish peace and blessings upon Dr. Sebi. Hope that we'll most definitely continue his work. He'll be able to smile down upon us. Peace.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and say that please reach out to us on Facebook. The website is actually undergoing some changes right now. We're developing that, so bear with us, family. Definitely want to make sure that we bring you the best information and the best way to digest it as possible. So always looking to improve on that level. Yes, definitely the contact information that Free gave out is where it's at. Vote Blexit this November. You can do that by having a Bitcoin wallet, which is essentially a bank. Have $100 worth of Bitcoin, and let's move the needle, family. Let's go on ahead and progress. Let's start to take the power back. I hate to see our people in a helpless position, and I think the powerlessness has a lot to do with, some of the ills in the society right now. So we are trying to address that. If you feel like that needs to be addressed in a technical manner, and not just from a philosophical manner, Blexit is the way. Thank you, brother, for having us on. I I want to extend honors and blessings to all the listeners as well as Dr. Sebi and his family.
Peace. Thanks. I appreciate you brothers coming through, showing support to the Black Star Kickback. Peace and blessings to the ancestor, Dr. Sebi. I hope the viewers got some constructive information that they can go back and research and go back and build on, and hopefully they can get some resources and investments going on in their lives. This is the Black Star Kickback, where we talk about every issue under the sun: health, relationship, goals, prepping, motivation, current events, lives, education, changing thought patterns, and paradigms. This is your host, Asir Resh, and we out. Peace.